I still remember the first time I saw her. It was on a night when the sky tore open. I was 12 then, old enough to explore the forest behind my home but still young enough to believe in monsters. The stars that night were brighter than usual, and I'd sneaked out after my parents fell asleep to watch the meteors streak across the sky. But instead of meteors, I saw a fiery shape plummeting downward, splitting the air with a scream of fire until it crashed deep in the trees. Curiosity was stronger than fear. Ran. The woods smelled of smoke and burned earth, and when I reached the crater, my heart nearly stopped. There wasn't a rock or a meteor. There was a craft, small, silver, and broken open like a cracked egg. Sparks danced along its edges, and beside it lay someone. She was small like me, no older than 10. Her skin shimmered faintly, almost pearlescent in the moonlight, and her hair seemed to float as if water still clung to it. Her large eyes, violet and wide with pain, locked on mine. She coughed, tried to crawl, but collapsed again. I should have run. I should have been terrified. But something about the way she looked at me made me move closer. She was scared, hurt, and alone. "I'll help you," I whispered, though I had no idea how. She didn't understand my words then, but she understood my tone. I lifted her as best I could, cradling her fragile form against me. She weighed less than she should have, as if gravity itself didn't hold her the same way it held me. For weeks after, I kept her hidden in an abandoned shed behind my house. She healed slowly. At first she couldn't speak, but eventually she learned scraps of my language, just enough to tell me her name, Leora. I brought her food, water, and bandaged her wounds. At night we sat under the stars, and she would point to constellations I didn't know, whispering in her own tongue as though singing lullabies to faraway suns. We laughed together, even without fully understanding each other. And then one day her people came. The sky lit up again, not with fire this time but with brilliance. A towering ship descended silently over the forest. Beams of light swept over us, and she grabbed my hand tightly before they found her. She pressed something into my palm, a small crystal, warm and glowing. Her eyes filled with tears, and she whispered words that etched themselves into my memory forever. "When the stars call me back, I will return." And then she was gone. Years passed. I grew up. High school blurred into college, and college blurred into long shifts at a job I didn't care for. The world moved on, and I told myself that what I had seen was just childhood imagination, a dream. But the crystal never dimmed. It still pulsed softly in the dark like a heartbeat. I tried to live a normal life. Friends, work, responsibilities. But I often found myself staring at the night sky, wondering if Leora was out there, alive. Wondering if she remembered me. 20 years later I got my answer. It was an ordinary evening when the sky once again split open. Only this time it wasn't a crash. It was a controlled descent. Graceful, deliberate. The ship that appeared above the city dwarfed everything I'd ever imagined. People screamed, fled, and pointed as the colossal vessel cast its shadow over skyscrapers. Governments scrambled jets, sirens wailed, and panic surged through the streets. But amid the chaos, a smaller craft detached from the main ship and descended directly toward me. I wasn't sure how I knew, but deep down I felt it. She had come back. For me. The craft opened, and from it stepped a woman draped in flowing garments that shimmered like liquid starlight. Her hair cascaded like silver fire, and her eyes, still violet, carried the same softness I remembered from the forest. She was taller now, regal, radiant, and surrounded by guards in armor that glowed faintly. "Eli," she said, speaking my name with perfect clarity. Her voice was like music, layered with harmonics that felt both alien and achingly familiar. My knees almost gave out. Leora. She smiled, and in that smile, I saw the girl I once carried through the forest. But she was no longer just that girl. She radiated authority, strength, and a presence that made even the soldiers at her side bow their heads. "I told you," she said softly. "When the stars called me back, I would return." In the days that followed, the world changed. Leora revealed herself not just to me but to all of humanity. She was no mere traveler. She was a queen now, ruler of a vast interstellar empire. Her people were explorers, guardians of peace across dozens of worlds. And she had returned to Earth for one reason: me. The leaders of Earth trembled in her presence, trying desperately to negotiate, to beg, to resist. But she wasn't here to conquer. She was here to repay a debt, a life debt as her people called it. I had saved her when she was a helpless child. And by the laws of her empire, a life saved must be honored forever. "You are bound to me, Eli," she said one night as we stood on the balcony of her ship, overlooking the glittering city lights. "As protector, as friend, as more than either. My people owe you their queen's life." I shook my head, overwhelmed. "I don't need repayment. I only wanted you to be safe." Her violet eyes softened. "And yet, because of you, I am alive. Because of you, I had the chance to grow, to lead, to protect. You gave me everything." The weeks turned into months. I traveled with her across the stars. Her empire was vast beyond imagination. I saw oceans that shimmered with bioluminescent life, cities carved into floating mountains, entire planets encircled by rings of crystalline stations. Everywhere we went, people bowed to her, chanting her name. And beside her, awkward and human as I was, they bowed to me too. But not everyone welcomed her reign. There were factions, enemies who despised her peace, who saw humanity as weak and unworthy. Rumors spread that the queen had compromised herself by honoring a primitive species. Rebellions stirred, and warships moved in secret. One night, as our ship traversed the edge of a nebula, we were ambushed. Sleek black vessels emerged from the clouds of cosmic dust, firing beams of searing light. The ship shook violently. Leora's guards rushed to defend her, but the attackers were too many. And in the chaos, one thing became clear. I was their target. They knew the queen's human was her weakness. Explosions rocked the hull, alarms blared, and flames lit the corridors. I was thrown to the floor, ears ringing. Through the smoke, I saw a soldier rushing toward me with a blade of searing plasma. Before it struck, Leora herself appeared, her hands glowing with energy. She unleashed a wave of force that hurled the enemy back. "Run!" she shouted. "I won't leave you." Her eyes burned with both fury and desperation. "I swore to protect you, but if you die, Eli, then everything I am dies with you." I realized then that I wasn't just a symbol to her people. To Leora I was more. I was her anchor, her reminder of a moment when she was vulnerable and someone showed her kindness without expecting anything in return. I didn't run. Together, side by side, we fought. I grabbed a fallen soldier's weapon, clumsy in my hands, but I used it anyway. She moved with grace, her power a storm, and somehow together we survived the ambush. When the last enemy ship was destroyed, silence fell. Her people cheered, but she only looked at me. "You are more than a debt, Eli," she whispered. "You are my heart."